This weekend is a huge week for fight fans. Um, kick all This is all happening on Saturday. So throughout the entire day, it's going to be stacked with fights. So first up on the docket is PFL in London. Um, Kayla Harrison, 14-0, two-time Olympic gold medalist in judo. I think she's a two-time PFL champion because PFL is weird. It's different. They do by season. If you guys do follow MMA, it's by season. They do a different thing. So um, she's fighting Martina uh, Jindrova. There in PFL, there's not really any competition for Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison is quickly become one of the biggest female MMA stars in the world. The only two fights out there for her are Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes.
Chris Cyborg. That's
Yeah,
that's
Chris
an
Cyborg and
insane name.
yeah, those fights need to start materializing and happening. I believe Amanda Nunes one is probably farther down the line. If it might never happen because she's in the UFC, and the UFC will never do a cross promotion event, and they'd have to wait for Kayla to become another free agent, and it's just weird because I think in PFL's contracts they have a chance to match. So UFC is not going to pay her this abundance amount of money, where PFL is like, no, we're not going to match it. So I think the best chance for one of those fights happening is a cross promotion event with Bellator and doing Chris Cyborg versus Kayla Harrison. It would be a really big deal. You'd get this cross promotion fight of two of the top three MMA promotions in the world. Having their two best women's champions go at it would be a big deal. Um, I see Kayla Harrison winning this fight. I mean, she should honestly dominate this fight. Next up, kind of happening at a similar time in the boxing world. I'm not the biggest boxing fan, but when some big fights happen, I'll tune in and watch. This one I might have on in the background, not really. It's Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua, and this fight's happening in Saudi Arabia. Um, Anthony Joshua has not lived up to the potential that we all thought he was going to be. He lost to Andy Ruiz, got that one back. They never did a trilogy. Then he fought. Then he won another fight, I believe, against some can, and then he fought Alexander Usyk and lost a decision fight. Lost a decision, and we all thought he was leading to a Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight, one of the biggest heavyweight fights in the world, but it never materialized. Anthony Joshua couldn't get over the hump, and now Tyson Fury is quote unquote retired, and we're probably never going to see that fight. Um, and after that, we've got I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this promotion, but BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Yeah, this is ruthless. The main event is really the thing to talk about. This is also happening in London. It's Michael Venom Page, MVP, versus Mike Perry. MVP is a Bellator fighter, but Bellator is letting him do this one-off fight in BKFC to fight Perry. Perry's a former UFC fighter. He's had one fight in BKFC. He's 1-0. MVP is the better striker, the better technician, but he's really not allowed to use anything but his hands, and that kind of might create a problem for him. But I still seeing him being able to get the job done. Um, he could finish Mike Perry. Mike Perry's a tough ass guy. He could finish him if he catches him on the button. Um, the method of victory for Mike Perry to win is he's really got to smother MVP, make it a grinding fight, hang on him, and bring it into the later rounds, and hopefully he can tire MVP out and catch him while he's doing a little dirty boxing. But I think that's an unlikely route to victory. I see MVP being able to get the job done. Then at the end of the night, we got the big pay per view, UFC. Um, I'll start off with the third fight of the main card, actually, and then work my way to the main event. We've got Jose Aldo, the number 3 bantamweight in the world, versus Marab Valashvili. Hard last name to say. He's from Georgia. He's the number 6 bantamweight in the world. Um, For me, I see this fight playing out. I could see either one winning, but what I see is Marab really spamming the takedowns, smothering, getting pressure. His conditioning is off the charts. He brings intensity. He's relentless. His wrestling is going to, I think, tire Aldo out, even though Aldo in a 3 round fight is extremely dangerous. I just think that Marab is going to chain together those takedowns, and he's really Aldo's going to probably have a tough time with the relentlessness of a Marab who's just going to, well, like I said, I mean, spam those takedowns like in a UFC video game. He's just going to spam them over and over and over again. The keys to victory for both those guys, for Aldo, he's got to get going fast. He's got to kick the legs early. He's got some of the best leg kicks in the game. He's got to keep the fight standing, and he's got to keep his back off the cage. Marab, his keys to victory is pressure, relentlessness, wrestling, smother, and use his conditioning to get that fight to a grueling decision win. Um, the odds are Aldo's a plus with 115 underdog, and Marab's a minus 135 favorite. Those odds might change, obviously, because I looked at this last night. For me, I would probably go Marab. You can probably parlay him together and get a nice a bonus there. In the co-main event, we got the return Paulo Costa, who's he's somewhere in the top 5 rankings of the middleweight division. I think he's like 3 or 4. He's 13-2. He's coming off two fight losing streak after being 3-0. He lost to Israel Adesanya, the champion, and Marvin Vettori, which Costa actually missed weight twice. So they fight at 185. He said he couldn't make 185. They moved it to 195. Then he said he couldn't make 195, so they had to move it to 205. And all props to Marvin Vettori for continuing and accepting those conditions. Now, Costa did have to forfeit 20% of his purse to Marvin Vettori, but listen, Vettori deserves that for having to deal with all that BS leading up to the fight, changing the weight twice on short notice. He's taken on a returning Luke
Wait,
Rockhold.
is that legal to do? Like
What?
I thought the weight class was very strict, like extremely strict.
They are, but like it was like a week before the event. So Costa was like telling the UFC, I can't make the weight. So they asked Marvin, and it was up to Marvin basically. Marvin can say, no, I'm not taking the fight. The fight's off. Or he could
You
say,
can't
all
do
right,
that. You can't do that though. Come on. If he said no, you know what the backlash is gonna be like.
no, they'll do. They don't like to do it, but it's they're allowed that right to say, you know what? No, listen, we both signed a contract for 185. I can make the weight. You can't make the weight. I'm not fighting you because you're trying to get an advantage over me. He accepted the conditions to go to 195. Then Costa said, "Oh, I can't make 195." So then they had to move it to light heavyweight at 205, and
That's
Marvin
okay,
decided to
nah,
say,
that's insane.
that's insane. I know, but all props to Marvin for saying, you know what? You're trying to get out of this fight, get advantages. I'm going to take the fight, and Marvin Vettori still was able to get the job done. So now Paulo Costa is taking on Luke Rockhold. He's coming back after he hasn't fought since 2019, and that was at 205. He's a former middleweight champion, but he was middleweight champion back in 2015. Since he won the title, his record is 1-3. He's only had 4 fights since 2016. All 3 of those losses since the championship win have been by knockout. He hasn't fought at 185 since 2018. He's 37 now. He's going to turn 38 in October. I mean, he has a way to win the fight. I just don't know. I think the chin isn't there. By the way, all 5 of he's 16-5. All 5 of his losses are by TKO or KO. So the chin is always touchable, and it will go out if you hit it on the button. For me, Luke Rockhold, he said he's got his head back in the game. He's sober. I think he said 7 months now. So congratulations to him. He said sober off alcohol. He still does marijuana, and he's a mushroom guy too. He likes to be enlightened, I guess. Um, go check out his pre-fight interview yesterday. He was going off on the UFC and one of the Barstool Sports guys.
I'm happy
But
with
Luke
anyone on
Rockhold,
Barstool.
Luke Rockhold, I just don't know if it's there anymore. If he comes in with the right mentality, he's got a way to win. And his keys to victory for me for Luke Rockhold is get the fight to the ground. You're a better grappler and wrestler. Get on top, and if it's standing, attack the body with your legs, attack the legs, because trying to stand in the phone booth with Paulo Costa is going to be very dangerous. For Costa's uh, keys to victory are keep the fight standing, pressure him, volume, smother, and use your speed. If you ask me who's going to win this fight, I would say bet Paulo Costa by way of TKO or KO. I just think that he's going to be able to put that pressure on him. He's going to smother him. He's going to use his speed. And I think he's going to be able to get the job done. I don't see this really going. I could see it going in the second round, but I highly doubt it would go far into the second round.